officials around the world are taking precautions to prevent swine flu outbreaks. Agriculture groups in this country, especially those representing the pork industry, are keenly aware of how the outbreak and perception can impact the market and trade. So far, scientists say this disease is spreading from human to human, not through hogs. As such, the World Organization for Animal Health says this disease should not be referred to as the swine flu. According to a Dow Jones Newswire report, OIE says North American influenza would be a more appropriate name. The organization says bans on swine trade are not necessary. But despite the OIE's stance, several countries have already banned pork exports from Mexico and even parts of the U.S. The Ag Department is working with other government agencies to monitor the situation. In a news release from the USDA, Ag Secretary Tom Vilsack says he has instructed his agency to reach out to ag officials in every state to affirm that they have no signs of this virus type in their areas. We have team coverage from our reporting partners at Pro Farmer Newsletter, both on policy and market reaction. Here's Pro Farmer Washington editor Roger Bernard.
Well, trade policy is a side that we would expect some potential government involvement here. That's because there are, at least so far, unconfirmed reports that countries like China and Russia have cut off their imports of U.S. pork from at least 3 U.S. states. Now, the reason that there could be some political involvement here is because we've got a cutoff of trade, or a potential cutoff of trade, that has occurred when the disease, swine flu, has not shown up in the U.S. hog herd. So look for the U.S. Trade Representative's office to be investigating this situation, and if they do indeed find some trade halts, they're going to demand an explanation, especially since the U.S. swine herd is free of swine flu. For the editors of Pro Farmer, I'm Roger Bernard.
All right, thank you very much, Roger. Well, the Centers for Disease Control says there is no evidence that any cases of the illness resulted from contact with pigs. Still, the pork industry is now in a classic public relations battle, trying to defend the product that's clearly associated by name with the disease. The National Pork Board is trying to reassure consumers that the virus is not spread by food. Still, the National Pork Board is encouraging producers to maintain strict biosecurity procedures on their farms. In a statement, National Pork Board President Steve Weaver said, "We are urging pork producers to be vigilant in taking measures to prevent the spread of this disease." The big threat to the pork industry would be a disruption of exports. As Roger just mentioned, Russia banned pork imports from all of Mexico and selected regions here in the U.S. But it's not only pork trade at risk, but commodities due to a reduction in feed demand. Pro Farmer editor Chip Flory tells us how the market reacted on Monday.
Okay, we've got confirmed cases of swine flu in the human population in Canada, the U.S., and Mexico. Most of it is concentrated down in Mexico at this point. What does it mean for the U.S. hog herd? Apparently nothing. Tyson and Smithfield have both confirmed that there are no confirmed cases of swine flu in their herd. USDA has released a statement saying that there are no confirmed cases of swine flu in the hog herd from any state. Still, leading up to Monday's open, we saw some intense pressure. Part of that pressure was tied to the global economic recovery. They just figured that a swine flu pandemic would slow down the recovery process. But this does not mean a slowdown in feed demand from the hog market. Lean hogs, however, are just going to have to deal with this poorly named disease out there, and it's just going to be exceptionally difficult for lean hog traders to separate swine flu from hogs. There's more pressure coming on hogs. For the editors of Pro Farmer in Cedar Falls, Iowa, I'm Chip Flory.
All right, thank you very much, Chip. As always, the Farm Journal media team is combining its resources to keep you informed on this story and its impact on agriculture.